200 years ago, a philosopher named Arthur Schopenhauer exposed the raw truth about female nature, truths so brutal, most men refuse to accept them. By the end of this, you'll see exactly where you've been deceived and how to finally take back control. So pay attention, because what you're about to hear isn't just controversial. It's the missing key most men will never grasp. Most men spend their lives confused, chasing love, validation, and happiness from women, only to end up heartbroken, used, or trapped. But what if the problem isn't women, but a deeper psychological struggle within ourselves and our partners? Carl Jung, the visionary psychologist, exposed the dark truth about modern love, revealing how unconscious archetypes, the animus and anima, wage an invisible war that undermines relationships today. By the end of this, you'll understand the subtle psychological currents that sabotage genuine connection and how to finally build a love that lasts. Jung didn't believe in fairy tales. He saw love for what it really is. Not just a romantic ideal, but a complex interplay of inner masculine and feminine principles. Not destiny, but a psychological dance where our unintegrated parts clash or harmonize. Here's the uncomfortable truth. When you feel that electric attraction, that obsessive desire, that conviction that she's the one, your conscious mind isn't connecting with her soul. It's often projecting your unconscious anima, the inner feminine image within a man, onto her. Subconsciously, you're seeking to complete yourself through her. And for women, their attraction works similarly, just with the animus. The inner masculine within a woman, seeking its external counterpart. Jung wrote, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances, if there is any reaction. Both are transformed." But he didn't mean that romantically in the superficial sense. He meant it as a process of individuation, a challenging journey where initial projections inevitably fade, revealing the true individuals beneath. Think about it. How many relationships begin with intense idealization, only to crumble once the projected anima or animus shatters? That's not coincidence. It's the inevitable failure of love built on unconscious fantasy rather than conscious reality. Modern relationships often fail because we misunderstand this inherent psychological dynamic. We expect our partners to fulfill our unacknowledged inner needs, projecting our undeveloped anima or animus onto them. When they inevitably fall short of this idealized image, disappointment and conflict arise. A woman might seek a man who embodies her idealized animus, strong, logical, decisive, only to resent him when his actual human flaws appear. Conversely, a man might project his nurturing emotional anima onto a woman, then feel betrayed when she asserts her independence or rational thought. This isn't misogyny or misandry. It's a psychological observation of how these powerful archetypes operate beneath the surface, often guiding our choices without our awareness. Look at dating apps where people present curated ideals that rarely match their true selves. Look at divorce courts where partners lament their spouse changing when often the initial projections simply dissolved. Look at history where powerful figures made disastrous choices based on infatuation rooted in unconscious drives. The pattern doesn't change because the underlying psychology of the animus and anima doesn't change. Most people believe love is mutual, that if they sacrifice enough, care enough, prove their worth, they'll be rewarded with enduring happiness. But Jung warned, the greatest danger for a man is to let his anima run wild. This applies to both genders. When a man is overly identified with his inner feminine, or a woman with her inner masculine, it creates imbalance in relationships. Women don't fall for nice in the superficial sense. They seek integration, a partner whose inner masculine complements their inner feminine, and vice versa. This is why the good guy finishes last, not because he's unworthy, but because he misunderstands the game. He thinks love is earned through external service, rather than through cultivating inner wholeness and conscious relating. Women, by instinct, are drawn to men who have done their inner work, who don't need to be completed by them. Ever notice how attraction can wane once a partner becomes secured? How the initial spark fades once the conquest, or rather the projection, is complete. Jung called it the tragedy of possession. The thrill isn't just in having. It's in the dynamic interplay of conscious and unconscious. Once the mystery is gone, and the projection fully lands on the real person, the work of genuine relating truly begins. That's why individuals who cling too hard, who make their partner the center of their world, inevitably watch the relationship falter. But here's the twist. This isn't solely your partner's fault. It's the unconscious animus or anima operating. And the person who understands this stops blaming. They start strategizing their own inner development. Jung's lesson isn't to hate or blame the other gender. It's to see ourselves clearly, to recognize that love isn't just a fantasy. It's a profound journey of self-discovery and conscious relating. And the one who negotiates from psychological weakness, from an unintegrated self, loses every time. But this is just the beginning, because the next truth is even deeper. It explains why modern relationships are struggling in every arena and how to flip the script. Stick around, because what comes next is where most people realize they've been lied to their entire lives about love. Jung saw what most people today still refuse to admit. The rules of attraction aren't always fair. They aren't purely logical. And they certainly aren't in your favor if you're not aware of your own unconscious. While modern society preaches equality, psychology operates on a different set of laws. And the person who ignores this is already lost. Here's the brutal reality. The animus and anima hold ultimate leverage in relationships, not because they're cruel, but because they are powerful, archetypal forces. From the moment puberty hits, the individual begins a journey of integrating their inner opposite, a process often mirrored and complicated by external relationships. Our ability to build conscious, mature relationships must be built through struggle, self-awareness, and psychological work. Jung put it bluntly, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. He wasn't insulting anyone. He was highlighting an evolutionary truth. Our unacknowledged inner world, the shadow, often dictates our external relationships. Look around. The average person today is drowning in a paradox. They're told to be emotionally vulnerable, yet often crave a partner who embodies strength and stability. They're shamed for traditional roles, yet the archetypal drives persist. They work to exhaustion building external life, only to find their internal world, and thus their relationships, in disarray. Jung warned of this centuries ago. The man who is not differentiated from his anima is moody, irritable, effeminate, and hypersensitive. The woman who is not differentiated from her animus is opinionated, argumentative, and domineering. But here's where it gets dangerous. Modern society hasn't just embraced these archetypes, it's often distorted them. Social media has turned self-presentation into an economy, and the average person is an unpaid laborer, projecting an idealized self, competing for scraps of validation from others who will never truly know them. Why? Because they've been sold a lie that external validation alone is enough? Jung saw the trap long before dating apps and performative relationships. Our capacity for genuine love is often hindered by our own unconscious biases. This sounds harsh until you realize what he meant. Love based purely on surface attraction or convenience is conditional. It's tied to utility, to how well the other person fulfills our projected needs. The moment they stop fulfilling that, the love fades. This isn't sadism. It's psychological survival. We are wired to seek wholeness, and if a partner stagnates in their own psychological development, or if we project too heavily, the relationship will suffer. In modern society, it often cheers on this superficiality. Jung didn't just diagnose the problem. He revealed the solution. The first rule of psychological survival is to see your inner world as it is, not as you wish it to be. The individual who thrives today isn't the one who clings to outdated romanticism. It's the one who masters their own inner game. And the final truth, the game is rigged, but only if you're playing by the wrong rules. This is where most people give up, because the next truth is the hardest to swallow. it's not about them. It's about you. And the moment you face it, everything changes. Jung uncovered a disturbing truth that modern psychology now confirms. Unconscious dynamics operate often out of direct sight. Their greatest weapon is invisible, instinctive, and devastatingly effective emotional influence and projection. While we might fight with logic or overt demands, the animus and anima wage war through perception and subtle influence. They don't just conquer. They manipulate reality itself through our projections. Consider this. When a person wants something, they might consciously express it. But when the anima or animus wants something, it makes you believe it was your idea, subtly guiding the interaction. Jung saw this clearly. The anima is the archetype of life itself, an autonomous complex in the man's psyche that functions as his soul image and influences his relationships. And for women, the animus acts similarly. This present moment focus on unconscious dynamics gives them a dangerous advantage. They read micro-expressions, tone shifts, and social dynamics with near supernatural accuracy, often without conscious effort. A man thinks he's having a conversation. A woman might be unconsciously navigating a complex emotional landscape. Modern individuals believe they're in control of their relationships. They're wrong. From the first date to the divorce papers, these unconscious archetypes guide the interaction through subtle tests. Most people fail without realizing it. The compliance test, how quickly you rearrange your schedule. The frame test, whether you stand your ground or cave to emotional pressures. The investment test, if you chase more than she does. Jung warned, every man carries within him the eternal image of woman, not the image of this or that particular woman, but an archetypal feminine image. This isn't evil. It's evolutionary programming. In a world where physical strength didn't secure survival, emotional and psychological intelligence became the ultimate currency. The person who couldn't navigate their own inner psychology and the projections of others didn't pass on their genes successfully in harmonious relationships. Here's where modern individuals walk blindly into the trap. They confuse a partner's initial attention for genuine, lasting interest. But Jung revealed the dark reality. True connection comes from wholeness, not neediness. The moment you make a partner, your sole purpose is the moment the dynamic shifts. This explains why nice guys finish last, why marriages crumble after individuals sacrifice their ambitions, why some pursue emotionally unavailable partners. It's not that people want to be treated poorly. They are biologically and psychologically wired to seek partners of higher value, not just external, but internal, integrated value. And nothing destroys perceived value faster than neediness or a lack of self-awareness. Every interaction with a partner contains an unspoken power struggle, a push and pull of conscious and unconscious desires. Most people lose before they realize the battle began. A partner might cry to avoid accountability, withhold affection to gain compliance, or flirt with others to test your confidence. Jung called this the tyranny of the weak, when unintegrated aspects leverage perceived vulnerability to control stronger adversaries. An individual who falls for it becomes enslaved to these dynamics. An individual who recognizes it becomes unstoppable in their own psychological journey. But there's hope. Jung's most liberating truth is this. The first step to freedom is seeing the chains. Once you understand that human nature, including its archetypal drives, isn't personal, it's psychological, you stop taking it personally. You stop begging for validation and start inspiring genuine connection through your own integration. The final lesson. Most dangerous lies aren't the ones partners tell you. They're the ones you tell yourself about love and self. Jung's most devastating revelation wasn't about gender. It was about the cold, unflinching reality of human nature itself. After exposing the brutal truths of attraction and power dynamics, he offered something far more valuable, the path to liberation. This isn't about defeating others. It's about transcending the game of unconscious projections entirely. Modern individuals make one fatal error. They believe happiness comes from external validation. Jung saw through this illusion. Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes. The individuals who thrive aren't those who conquer others, but those who conquer themselves. They develop a purpose so consuming, so intrinsically rewarding, that external attention becomes a pleasant bonus rather than a life or death necessity. History's most remarkable individuals, the artists, the inventors, the visionaries, weren't distracted by the chase for external validation. They were too busy building their inner empires. Here are the 3 pillars of unshakable well-being. 1. Inner sovereignty. Jung warned that true freedom comes not from external control, but from self-mastery and individuation. The person who controls their inner world controls their fate. 2. Philosophical depth. Most people live on autopilot, driven by unconscious forces. The exceptional individual cultivates a mind sharp enough to cut through societal lies and their own illusions. They read, reflect, and think for themselves. 3. Psychological mastery. The psyche isn't just a tool for attraction. It's the vessel of your conscious will. Weakness here breeds weakness everywhere in your life and relationships. Here's where Jung's wisdom becomes revolutionary. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. This isn't pessimism. It's emotional armor. The modern individual who stops begging for love, approval, or fairness suddenly finds these things come to them. Why? Because they've removed themselves from the desperate masses. They become the prize of their own conscious development. The battle within relationships isn't personal. It's psychological theater playing out across millennia, the animus and anima seeking integration. The person who wakes up to this stops blaming and starts evolving. They don't resent human nature. They adapt to it. They build a life so compelling, so consciously integrated, that true connection either meets their standards or watches from the sidelines. Jung's ultimate lesson: until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. The choice is yours. Continue chasing illusions or step into your true power. The journey of individuation isn't about hating others. It's about loving truth enough to rebuild yourself and its image. This is where your real life and your real relationships begin.